When people are working, they might not always follow the rules. Sometimes they should just know not to do certain things if they want to keep their jobs. From strange pranks coworkers have pulled to posting the wrong photos on Facebook. Here are the best ways to get fired. Hey guys, this is your host, American Eye. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy that video. Number 16. Drinking on the job. In most situations, drinking on the job is frowned upon and could be a way to get fired. If you're looking for a surefire way to get fired, try drinking on the job, posting on social media, then sending your boss a friend request. This woman here who took this photo had some very serious consequences. Not only does it look like she's drinking on the job, but we should also probably add that she's a school bus driver. She claims it was just a joke and never even took off the cap. Police couldn't prove she committed a crime, but you better believe she got fired. Playboy model party. If you were gonna get fired, this would be a pretty legendary way to go down, but you would also have to lose your job as a pilot. A Playboy model walks into a cockpit with two different pilots and wants to get a selfie. The model, Vicky Zipolitakis, was invited into the cockpit. They asked her if she'd like to try to fly the plane and gave her little instructions on how to keep things under control. It seems totally normal to want to get the photo, but the only problem was that they were flying plane. Being in a magazine doesn't typically give you the credentials to take hold of the wheel. If you really wanted to distract a couple of pilots in order to hijack a plane, a Playboy model could be a perfect decoy. Number 14. Eating people's food. When an office shares a refrigerator, there is a certain amount of trust that each person has that no one will eat their food. When the trust is simply broken, the consequences can be dire. Stealing is never a good thing, whether it's someone's roast beef sandwich or money from the register. Someone took the time out of their day to make that sandwich and probably look forward to eating it during lunch break. Now that person must work the rest of their day hungry because you felt like snacking it up. But if the sandwich is worth the job, then go for it. Number 13. Accepting bribes. It seems like an easy way to make a little extra cash on the side, and ever since there's been power and money, there's also been corruption. Police officers, military officials, judges, Facebook CEOs, prison guards, teachers, you name it. They've all accepted bribes at one point in time, and they may have lost their jobs for it. Unless, of course, you're the CEO of Facebook. In any case, bribery can take many forms. In some cases, with people who have enough power, they can get away with corruption for years until anyone decides to be a whistleblower. The FBI's website provides you with thousands of cases of corruption throughout the years, and some are quite mind-blowing. Number 12. Not predicting earthquakes. Thousands of earthquakes happen around the world every day, but a lot of them are too small to be felt or cause damage. Although in many places, earthquakes rarely or never happen since they're not near a fault line. The craziest thing about earthquakes is that they're quite difficult to predict. So should you really lose your job if you can't predict when and where the next big one will strike? When a devastating earthquake hit Italy, the scientists were put on trial for not giving any warning. The accusers who said that it was their fault claimed that the scientists should have known the big one was coming. This was just due to active rumbling going on. It got to the point where it almost seemed like a witch hunt because there were a few that were actually put in jail for manslaughter charges. Number 11. Sleeping on the job. We all might feel a little bit tempted to sleep on the job, especially if you just woke up and haven't had your coffee yet. While some companies like Google might see the benefits of taking a nap at work at some places, if you get caught sleeping, your boss might rudely awaken you. Sleeping while driving seems to be a pretty dangerous way truck drivers will get fired, or worse. If your boss is getting ready to give you the boot, maybe you can try to claim that you have the medical issue known as narcolepsy. Companies can't legally fire you for a medical condition, then you can sue them. But that might also get you fired too. Which brings me to my next one. Number 10. Suing your employer. The vast majority of employers in the US are considered to be at-will employers, which pretty much means they can fire you for a large variety of reasons. There are 3 reasons why they cannot fire you, including discrimination, whistleblowing, and as we mentioned before, disabilities. One of the more common things people try to sue for is over bullying, which leads them to typically being jobless afterwards. The truth is, your boss can be as much of a jerk as they want to, as long as they don't cross the line. You might also find that your coworkers won't really take your side due to fear of losing their jobs. In any case, if it's worth it to you, talk to a lawyer. One guy actually sued his boss for $400,000, claiming to be bored at work. You better believe he's not working there anymore. Steve Wynn has been sued for hundreds of thousands of dollars by his employees, but that's a long story. Number 9. Yawning too much. If you want to show your boss you're really unamused with the task given, maybe try a long, sarcastic yawn that might give them the message. No, just kidding, probably not a good idea. Although yawning can be a natural reflex of boring everyday life or lack of caffeine, a Reddit user shared that they worked at the Ritz-Carlton as a security guard until he actually got caught yawning too much. He claimed that all he did all day was just stand there. Some people might get a warning, but if your boss is already ticked off enough, a rude yawn could be all it takes to get the boot. Number 8. Facebook. It seems like there's just too many ways for Facebook to get you fired. Work computers are typically meant for working, and if your boss catches you liking cat photos on the internet, it might not be too long for you. Unless you're the social media manager at the company, you might want to log out. Some employers have actually installed automatic screenshotting technologies to computers so they can see what you're doing. You're probably also aware that it's not unheard of to hear about people saying that their job is boring on Facebook only to get fired in a couple of days. Some jobs with higher expectations hold on to serious standards. There have also been teachers fired for posting photos with drinks in their hands. And if you're a teacher, you better not accept any friend requests from students. But first, we'd like to thank this subscriber for leaving us this comment. Let us know what you think about the video, and maybe we'll feature you. Number 7. Being a wizard. If you can make things really magically disappear, you probably wouldn't be working at a middle school. But the schools got ridiculous on this one. A teacher was fired for witchcraft in Land O'Lakes, Florida. All Jim Piculas did was perform a magic trick involving a toothpick. But he didn't know it'd be the last trick he pulled on school campus. A substitute coordinator let him know quite quickly that it wasn't going to roll, and he was fired. Strangely enough, this wasn't the first time a teacher was fired for performing magic tricks. The school district claims it was for other reasons, but it's believed a parent made a complaint about the magic tricks, and it quickly escalated. Should he now be able to add wizardry to his job application? If this man is truly a wizard, we're sure to be off to better things such as slaying dragons and putting spells on those who fired him. Number 6. Donut sampling. If your boss asks you to buy them a box of donuts and you bring them back a box like this, you might get fired. Donuts aren't really wine, and you don't have to sample each one for a taste test, unless of course it's Krispy Kreme. It's possible an employer got a little bit disgruntled when the boss wasn't sharing donuts and decided to take a bite of each one. We suppose it's still edible if you just cut off the other part where they bit, right? Number 5. Too many sick days. We imagine you probably called in a few times with an excuse to your boss at some point in time. But social media can also come back to haunt you in this case. If you tell someone you work with one excuse, but on Facebook you're posting a status of opening day at Wrigley Field, then you might get in trouble. Whether you're truly sick or not, the employer is only going to put up with it for so long before they start getting impatient. And once you get back to work from vacation or sick days, don't be a slacker because you got work to make up. Number 4. Resume lies. Have you ever wanted to get a college degree but didn't want to put all the time, effort, and money into studying to get one? Well, good thing you can get one on the black market. What school do you want to graduate from? Harvard, Yale, Princeton? It doesn't really matter because it's only going to cost you a few $100 anyways. What do you want to be? A doctor, a lawyer, engineer? Counterfeit degrees can seem to be a way to fake that you're actually smart. Put it on your resume and just see what happens. One day the employer will realize that you have no idea what the heck you're doing. Being underqualified for a position might only come back to haunt you later on in the long run. Number 3. Being rude to customers. It might seem unfair that an employee can't lash out on a customer who is screaming at them at the top of their lungs. If you worked in the telemarketing industry, you probably know about this one. You might see a flight attendant getting yelled at, but most of the time, they'll be polite until you get dragged out of the plane. We're sure that inside their heads, they're thinking of just about every curse word in the book. Number 2. Noodles in the coffee pot. Some claim it's simple, while others claim it's madness. There might be a life hack out there floating around the web, which depicts people placing spaghetti in the coffee pot. But be aware, because it's also a cooking fail, and in most cases, it'll get you fired. We're not sure how it works exactly, because we haven't tried it yet. It could be a good prank if you can get away with it, but if you brew coffee with noodles inside, it might be kinda gross. Number 1. Not following procedure. Whether it's not following the dress code or getting into inappropriate relationships, there are some certain norms that you're supposed to already know. You can only show up a little bit late so often and get away with it. Presidents of the United States have also been impeached for not following procedure or code of conduct when they're off the clock. What's the point of being the president if you can't have some fun, right? Some have reported being fired for poorly timed expulsion of internal gas during important meetings. Just gotta hold it in, or you might get fired.